Welcome, everybody. Today, we're going to talk about kind of your action plan for a fiber festival. Welcome to Wool Maven. This is Kathy. And like I said, we're going to talk about what maybe you should think about before you head to a fiber festival and some things to keep in mind when you're there. And in case you're wondering, what makes me think of this? Well, I was just there, at least at a local fiber festival. It was the Autumn Fiber Festival in Mansfield, Ohio. It was the end of October. That was last weekend. I had a really nice time, met a ton of cool people there. What prompted this video, what prompted this idea here is after going to the fiber festival, I realized had I thought about it a little bit more, had I planned a little bit more, I think I could have made much better use of my time. Now I was gonna say unfortunately, no, actually, fortunately for me, this fiber festival was really close. It used to be right in town here, so it was like 10 minutes away, and it moved a little bit, but it's still like 15 minutes away. So it's really, really close. I was fortunate enough to be able to go both days, which that's awesome. That definitely reduced the pressure on all the stuff I feel I need to see. And of course, self-inflicted pressure. That is how I look at it. I get so excited and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, look at all this stuff and they're going to have all these awesome things here I can look at and see and I'll get all these fleeces." And then when I get there, it's almost like there's so much to see and do without a plan. Things can get a little crazy, and then I end up timing out and kind of, like well, I forgot about this or I forgot about that or I didn't have time to go see this other thing. So I have some ideas for you and for me because once again, I went the first day and then was able to go back the second day and and they weren't really my mistakes, but fix the stuff I missed. Right. It hit all of the things I wanted to hit. And had I taken just a little bit of time and sorted this out, I think I could have done it the first day and then just went back second day for kicks. For anybody new here, if you haven't heard, I have a big announcement coming up right around Thanksgiving, Black Friday. So stay tuned for that one. I'm super excited about it. It's a really big deal to me, and I think it will help most anybody listening as well. So that's cool stuff. Anyway, so let's talk about the Fiber Festival. And I know that from what I've seen, like around YouTube, Facebook, that kind of stuff, maybe most Fiber festivals are over, but that's okay. That's okay. I can have a plan for next year. So no worries. At least for me, they are. This is the second one that's close to us. There's one in the spring, more Memorial Day, and then the one end of October. But and I can always venture out a little bit further. You never know. But anyway, even though it's somewhat at the end of the season, there's still some, now that it's fresh in my mind, I can think about more. This is going to sound funny, what actually happened rather than kind of how I tell myself I handle it. You know what I mean? Anyway, so here's the scoop for me. Like I mentioned, this Fire Festival was pretty darn close. It only took me like 15 or 20 minutes to get there. And which means I could go back the second day. I had a few things going on Saturday. And then so I wasn't able to get to the Fire Festival till probably like 3 o'clock in the afternoon or so. And it was open, I think it was 10 to 5, 11 to 5, something really close to that. But Saturday was definitely the longer day. So I got a little bit of, or a good amount of time in on Saturday. And then since it's very close to me, and what I thought we were doing on Sunday, we ended up not doing. So I had the ability to go back on Sunday and hit the things that I felt I had to like kind of skitter through or just totally missed, totally forgot about. So the first day, as I mentioned, I did have a few things going on earlier that day, and I kind of had the rush, take a shower up quick, head on over there and, see everything. Oh my gosh, I don't want to miss stuff. And sort of like the headless chicken running around approach, not really, not really well planned. And I did get some really cool stuff, because at least for me, I always feel the pressure of, you know how it is, I want to get there and get all the great fleeces, and because the best stuff's going to sell out first. You know how it is. So I was able to get there at 3, and of course, there's still plenty left. No need to panic. And I got the things that were like top of mind or the easiest to remember, but on my way back home, I realized I forgot a couple things. So dang it, I was just there. But what I got the first day was a fleece of a lamb fleece that I'd never tried, of a breed, actually a cross I'd never tried before. I got some dyed locks because those are super cool. And I think I got the 2 other raw, a pound each of some Tunis and some Leicester Longwool, and both of which I had never used before. So I wanted to give them a shot, see what was going on. And then as I was driving home, and of course the doors were kind of closed, and then I realized that I didn't get the dyed roving that I told myself I was going to get. And I didn't get some of the new to me fiber that I wanted to get. Or to be fair, some things, I don't know how many of you know this, but I got a matchless wheel earlier, the first part of this year, and before I was using the Louette. So they operate very differently, at least for me. So there's some fibers that didn't work out super good with my other wheel, or to be honest, my skill level at the time. So I wanted to retry them and see if I can do better with them on this new wheel. So anyway, by the time I was driving home in the car after the first day, and I thought, oh my gosh, I forgot this, I forgot that, I forgot this. And the painted or the hand-dyed roving was actually the big thing, because I have a few things planned for the channel that required, at least for me, what I really wanted to do was use some hand-dyed roving to set up some cool videos. And here I go, I totally forgot to get it between the rushing around and seeing the other things, which were wonderful, wonderful things that I got. I was thinking about skipping it the second day, but then I thought, wow, the thing we were going to do ended up being put off for another day. So I've got the day free. And how about I go crazy here and take a little bit of time and maybe think this over a little bit more, and then go with more of an action plan to round out the things I wanted. Because the stuff I got the first day, of course, I wanted it. It was really awesome. I got some great stuff, but there were also some other things that I wanted that I didn't get, that I totally forgot about. And since it's close, I can go back and do a much better job making it a successful trip in my eyes. So the second day, what did I do different? I first realized that really success, at least and then once again, success is defined by me, like what I wanted to have happen from this trip. And what I wanted to have happen for this trip was not only to see some things, because there's always demos and that kind of thing, all the displays, there's really cool stuff. There's usually, at least, even though it's a fire festival, there's at least a few animals outside. And I always like that. And then I wanted to get the supplies that I plan to have, so for future videos that I plan on making, and projects I want to do. And I wanted to ideally get all that from the Fiber Festival, because that's the people who worked. It's handmade. It's from the source. So I really, when you can, when, at least for me, when I can, to support the people who are hands-on doing the work, not just the kind of generic, more like big box style stuff. I tried to go more like right from the farm or from the artist, as in the dyed roving. So I feel good about that. I try to at least make a good portion of the fiber I work with, maybe not all of it, I'll have to admit, but a good portion of it to have the majority of the money go right to the people who had the most kind of skin in the game there. How did I make the second day and the overall trip to be success? Well, first of all, I realized that once again, for me, success starts at home. The way to have a great trip is to plan ahead. And that means the first thing I need to do is go through my stuff. go through my stuff. What is in those containers? And I have these just plastic containers with a lid. What are they? Like 40-gallon or something, 30-gallon. Check out what's in there. Check out what's in there, because why get more of what I already have? And why not get the few things that are actually kind of hard for me to get a hold of, but boy, if I'm lucky, will show up at the Fiber Festival. And since I'd already been there the day before, I have a good idea of what's there. But even if you hadn't been there, or you can look through the vendor list, because most of them that I've seen put up a list of who's going to be there and what they have. And I have to admit, some of the descriptions are a little on the vague side, but give it a shot. Look through it. If you're looking for something, you never know what'll show up there. And you can kind of plan out your purchases and your projects from there. The other thing I did after I went through the list of what I have on hand right now, so I don't double up, then I made a list of the things that I would like to kind of experiment with, wools that I'm hoping to get a hold of that are new to me, and then projects that I'd like to get done if I can get a hold of those wools. And just more of a almost like a wish list to see what shows up and what the possibilities are. Now, what's the likelihood I'll get everything on my list? Honestly, it's probably small. It's probably small because you pick from what's there. And this isn't a mega fiber festival, but it's a good size one. And so I made a list of the things that I thought I might like to get a hold of. And so a list of the things I have, and then a list of the things I want. And then the next step, and this is probably the most important, is to prioritize. And since I had somewhat of a, rather than just, I want this, it's cool, or it attracts me, or I heard about it, so I want like the certain fiber to work with, like to make a sweater or a hat or something. I have projects that I'm planning to do for the channel. So I wanted fiber, and especially the roving that fit the bill and when would work for a few separate videos. So maybe that made my requirements a touch different than most, because I figure most people just buy what they like. But I wanted to get, especially the hand-dyed rovings, a few colors that were kind of a little bit out of my comfort zone, to see what I could do with them, and some fibers that I've been meaning to, or I've been saying, gosh, I should really get a hold of some of that. Gosh, I should really get a hold of some of that. And then I keep ending up getting a hold of something else. So I wanted some colors that I thought would show up great on video. I wanted some hand-dyed rovings that I thought would be great to demonstrate, like splitting up for colors and all that, fractals, all that kind of stuff. And then I also wanted to use the fibers that I wanted to expand my experience to. So some of those were able to overlap, some of them weren't. And of course, I didn't get everything I wanted, but gosh, I did pretty good. So the point of the story is prioritize. Prioritize. What is the most important thing to you? Because if you're like most folks, at least for me, it's not an unlimited shopping spree. I'm excited and I'm looking to get a good amount of fiber there, but everything that catches my eye will not be purchased. So I do want to get the things that catch my eye the most, the things that matter the most to me, the things I think I can do the most with, and work through that a little bit, and see if some things would kind of double up for different future videos. And it's not just that's because I'm doing a channel, of course, but it's also something that someone who isn't putting all this on video might want to keep in mind, because if you're looking to expand your experience, then that means you need to work through a bunch of different wools that come with different preps. Maybe you want to start them from raw, maybe you want to start them from dyed roving. The more experience you have, the better you'll be. And even if that experience is with some things that you tried it and you're like, wow, that's not my best decision ever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're still better for having worked with the fiber. Some wools use, and I'll just say wool fiber. Some wools you spin because they're wonderful and you really, really love spinning them. And other wools you spin to learn. And the more you learn, the more you'll do better with the things that you love and the workhorse type wools that you keep going back to. So there's really no loss here. But I had some very specific kind of goals that I was hoping to double up with some fibers on to see if I could get like more bang for my buck. Because I'm not specifically spinning for any sort of project. It's not like I'm wanting to make like matching sweaters or anything. But I do have different goals, like I said, for what's going to go on with the channel. So I needed to think about how I could best use the things I was buying to make what I wanted to have happen from the trip work out. So anyway, after you've thought about this and you're going, so you've got figured out like your plans, you know what you have at home, you know what you'd like to get, and then you have a list of what matters most to you. And that, once again, that depends on your projects. What are you hoping to get done? Once you have that figured out, what are you going to take with you? What are you going to take with you? Well, let me give you a few suggestions. First off, take the list. Take the list. I always think, I'll remember that. I'll remember that. That is not an area of strength for me. So take the list. Take the list with you. And I even take a little pen. This is my favorite kind, a little like skinny Sharpie, and make notes so you know where you're at on your list. That'll keep you on track, because at least for me, it's easy to see something and go, hey, look at that. Hey, what about this? Well, we could go with that instead. And you kind of, while it's important to keep an open mind, you also, if you need what you need, maybe make sure you get the list done first. So take the list, take a bag so you can put stuff in it. And then I'd take cash. Take cash if you can. The vendors will have the ability to take like to swipe a credit card right there, but at least I know on at least one of them I got a discount because I paid with cash. So hey, nothing wrong with that. So if you can, take the cash with you. What would that be? Fourth thing I would say is not necessarily take with you, but remember to build in extra time to your schedule. There's all kinds of stuff going on at these fiber festivals, at least any of them I've been to. Not only is there stuff to look at, sometimes there's animal exhibits and sometimes not, but there's always, gosh, there's one I was to where this wasn't the case, but all the rest have been, there's like a series of demos all through the day, and they cover just all manner of fiber type activities. There was a lady braiding rugs, there was multiple weaving instruction, there was some felting, there was some really cool core spinning by a lady actually who lives around here and has alpacas. There's just some really neat stuff. And if you're tight on time, it can be so easy to miss out on those. True, the classes, at least how this was set up, they were set up on a half-hour schedule, but I just, when you come across one, just bop in and join. And they're very welcoming. It's a ton of cool stuff. And actually the lady who did the rug hooking, or pardon me, the rug braiding, I learned all kinds of stuff. And I only listened to just a small bit of her presentation, but figured out why anything I've tried doesn't lay super flat. The next thing I would suggest, after that's a list of things you should take, the next thing I would suggest you kind of go with is an open mind. And why I'm saying that is you really never know what's going to show up there. You really never know what's your opportunities. And sometimes you might see something you really, really like. You might get an idea there. It might be a visual inspiration. Like this Fiber Festival had tons of, it was much more so geared towards knitters and crocheters than it was, and I guess weavers, than it was towards spinners. It was very heavy, already done yarn and just scads and scads of choices. Buying already done yarn, that's not what I want to do. I don't love to knit or crochet. I knit to use up the stuff I've spun. My first love here is spinning. So what good does all that yarn do me? Well, honestly, it's inspiration. If you look, you'll see cool colors, you'll see cool textures, you'll see maybe different fiber blends that you haven't thought of, all sorts of interesting things. And if you take the time and look around and just sort of absorb it in, you never know what kind of inspiration you'll get from that. And it might have, like, honestly, near zero to do with what the booth is for. Like the jewelry. I didn't buy any jewelry. It was like stitch markers and it was earrings. It was cool stuff. But it just made me think a little bit differently about maybe what I was doing. And I'll tell you, a surprise purchase. I bought some, what is it, Angelina? I've never used that before. And I thought, well, I'll give it a whirl. It was just, it was there. It was kind of a crime of opportunity. So I got some, and it's a really light blue and interesting. But had it not been there, it certainly wasn't on my list. But I thought, wow, right there, how easy is it to just grab that? The third thing that I found is things are probably going to be a bit different than you expect. And what I mean by that is kind of circling back to that this was from the vendors, fairly heavy focus towards knitters and crocheters and weavers, and much less so with towards the spinning side of things, despite the fact that there was multiple guilds there showing spinning and quite a few people on using spindles, that sort of thing. But so I expected more fiber, more unspun fiber there, and honestly, probably less of the already spun up yarn. But no worries there, because I still got tons of fleece and roving, or actually comb top, to work with that will do what I need it to as far as the channel goes, and give me tons of it of spinning this winter, and different fibers to work through and work with. So while I have to admit I was surprised that, like, for instance, there was only 2 booths selling the hand dyed top. And honestly, that was a shocker. I was really surprised. I thought I'd have a ton more to choose from. But in the end, I ended up with 3 with 3 things of it anyway that are beautiful. I got that from Gwen Erin, and I got a Rambouillet silk, I think a Polworth silk, and then a Targhee. And lovely, lovely colors. She does a beautiful job. And she's in Ohio, Hudson. And so even though there were only 2 vendors there with one of the things that was topping my list for the second day, I still found plenty. So no worries there. And I also found more fleece than I was planning on getting. I was looking to, gosh, I had a list. I don't know where it is right now. I ended up purchasing pretty heavy long wool, as in a lot of long wool, a good amount of long wool. And that wasn't my intention going in, but now that I think about it, I have mostly fine wools here. Our fleece are a fairly solid medium. The Finn Cross Blackie are one colored sheep. She would be on the finer end of medium, but still definitely medium. So really, when you think about it, if I've got a lot of fine wools already here and I have plenty of medium-ish from my own, the logical place to go is long wools. So now that I think that over, it's really no surprise there was quite a bit of alpaca there. I didn't get any of that. And then quite a bit of rare breed, or that shave 'em to save 'em programs there. And that was neat. That was neat. I didn't expect that. But there was Tunis, Horn Dorset, Leicester Longwool. I know there's some California variegated mutant I saw. Um, and oh gosh, there's more, and I know I can't think of it right now. But I was surprised to see that. I was surprised to see that there was that much relatively local rare breed raw fleece available. So that's pretty cool. I didn't anticipate that opportunity there. The other thing I wanted to, and this is more like, you know, while I'm talking to me here. What I tend to do, and I'd like to think I did a better job of handling this the second day, was to remember to enjoy being there. I tend to get like mission focused and I'm like, well, I want to see this and I want to see that. And I want to, go get this here and that here and, zooming around. And I'm not overly social person to begin with, but gosh, just stop and talk to people. You never know what you'll find there. And most people there really, really like to talk fiber. So stop in, have a chat. If you see something you like, talk to people. Then I tend to get like more mission focused. One of the most important things at the fiber festival isn't the fiber. It isn't the fiber. It's the cool people you meet. It's the really neat things you see. So that's a little reminder for me is to take a deep breath and look around and see the opportunities that while, yes, of course, you went there for the fiber, it is a fiber festival, but you also went there to meet people. You also went there to see what good ideas people have. You went there for some color inspiration. You went there for some thoughts on, well, wow, I didn't think you could use mohair like that, or oh, I didn't think about you doing that with alpaca. And there's just so much out there. And so the big part of the Fiber Festival, actually, despite the fact that I spent this whole time talking about fiber, the big part of the Fiber Festival is the people you meet and the things and the connections you make and just the new good ideas you get there, or the little bit of insight that makes you think later and go, oh, that reminds me, I'll try something else when I get it home. So it's cool stuff. So anyway, to recap, if you're going to a fiber festival, take stock of what you got at home and then take your list with you. So hopefully this will help you out. I know next year, because I'm sure I'll go. I love this kind of thing. I need to make the list ahead of time rather than I need to make this at time, not rush through it. That way I'll have much more of a plan and can relax and enjoy my time when I'm there. So hopefully this helps you out, gives you something to think about. Leave some comments down below. I would love to hear what you have to say. If you would like to take the free mini course that I have, head on over to woolmaven.com/free. You can sign up for the free mini course. And once again, 100% free. Love to have you take it. Let me know what you think of it. And if you're more into Facebook, I have a Facebook group called Hand Spinning Yarn with a Spinning Wheel. Show me what you're up to. Shoot me some pictures. I have been talking a lot to a great lady in Dorset, England right now. She is such a machine. She got 6 Shetland fleeces pretty locally. She said she didn't have to go too far, and she's working on washing them up. Really cool colors. You never know. You never know. It's really awesome. So she showed the progress. She's got a lovely brown one, a Morit washed up, and I thought she said she's got a black and a dark gray, and oh gosh, there's a total of 6. So clearly I'm missing a few. But that's really neat stuff. So if you have anything to show, I put up my projects on there. Would love to see what you're doing. Love to hear what you're thinking about. And I also have a few shorts coming out talking mostly about washing fleece. That's what I've been doing a lot lately. Want to get that all in before the cold weather comes around. Anyway, so wonderful to have you. Thanks for stopping in. Check out the free mini course if you're interested in that sort of thing. Once again, it's woolmaven.com/free. Love to have you take it. Hit me up with a comment or two if you have something to say. I'd love to hear back from you. And stay tuned for the big, huge announcement coming up the end of the month. Thanks for stopping in. See you next time.